Welcome everybody to this workshop on QGIS2web, and I'm Paola Fava. I'm a product owner at CartONG, and I'll be the moderator of this section. So if you have any technical question or issue, you can write to me on the chat. Otherwise, if you want to ask questions during the sessions, you can do it using the option write to everyone in the chat. I guess many of you are familiar with Zoom after.
Okay, thank you. Okay, welcome to this workshop. So today we'll be focusing on the plugin QGIS2web, so on QGIS. I think it could be nice to have like a little roundtable today. I know that the session is really short, but if you could all type in the chat, like where are you from? It could be like city, a country, whatever, and what is your position and the job you're making or you want to do, anything. And we'll come at it later. And in the meantime, maybe we'll introduce ourselves. So Miguel, I'll let you introduce yourself first.
Hi, I'm Miguel. I'm based in Vitoria, in Spain. And well, I'm a GIS and web developer for CartONG for several years now. And well, I work in developing web applications and helping with the spatial data and database. So I'll let you, Gilles.
So my name is Gilles Cazaban, and I've joined recently CartONG as a GIS officer. I'm based in France, so moving a lot due to the confinement actually. So actually I'm in Normandy. I see that no one has typed anything in the chat, so okay, maybe okay. I see that we have some people from France. Okay, Alban from Lyon, hello. Olivier in Kathmandu, okay, nice. I see that there are people coming from many countries. I think that I can introduce you the workshop of today. So today we'll have a demo of this plugin, QGIS2web. So the idea would be to work mostly fully on QGIS, to export some project with this plugin, and this will allow us to have a web map. And we'll see with Miguel how to customize it or implement it in a website. So this could be a really interesting use case for any people that have not a background in web development, but have some GIS background and know how to use QGIS. Okay. Before presenting the plugin, we've shared the link on Friday on the mail, so you can follow everything I will do on QGIS with me. Feel free, you can, and if you want only to follow the demo, it's up to you. But do not hesitate to interact with us with the chat. Has to ask any question or remarks or whatever. Miguel can ping me and interrupt me to answer to your question. So I think it's important first to mention that this plugin was made by Tom Chadwin, Ricardo Klinger, Victor Olaya, and Neal Dawson. So this is an open source plugin which is available on GitHub and not GitHub, a typo. And the last version I've checked is 3.16.0. So let's go directly into QGIS. So, using the link that I've sent to you in mail. And if Paula, you can put the link, or Miguel, on the chat again if people want to actually download it. I will show you quickly on QGIS. So what we are using today, yes, what we are using today are fake data, but displaying real administrative areas. So today we are in Burundi, and we have some administrative boundaries of commune here in black. And we have also, which is called values, we have also sous-commune, which is the administrative boundaries below the commune in Burundi. We have also some health centers, this square, and also the health area related to every health center, as you can see. We can imagine today that we are working on, let's say, an outbreak or evaluation on the Watson or any case you want, and that we would like to have this project on a web map, maybe to communicate with others or to communicate with a large audience, whatever. So for that, we have created some fake data in our sous-commune, which are some fake numbers and fake percentages. And let us know if you have any problem with the project or whatever, the download or anything. What we need to know is that before going further into the plugin, we need to prepare our map. This means that we'll need to have all the symbology, all the labels, and so on ready to be displayed on a web map. So we can take some time together to do it. So I don't know what are your knowledge of QGIS. I assume that you know this software and use it a bit or a lot, I don't know. But we'll check again some basic properties, such as changing the symbology today. Because if you want to study, let's say, the rate of access to water in our sous-commune, we'll need to map it. So a single symbol will not be interesting for us. And we would like to display graduated colors. So I'm going in there. I'm selecting my percentage. And let's say, okay, I want to have some something maybe green, like this. Yeah, some yellow to green. And let's have, okay, for classes, it's nice, whatever. I'm applying, okay. So it's still better, but what could be interesting also is to show some evolution between our two datas, because we have some values for 2019 and some values for 2020. So in our use case, it would be nice to have some basic values for 2019 and to see the evolution on the following year. So let's do the same for 2019. Is evaluated. Okay, percentage. Let's use the same color ramps. Okay, still 5 places. Specify. Okay. To have really a view on the evolution, it could be better to have the same classes between our 2 years. So I'm using the values for 2019 as a reference, and I'm changing the one from 2020. So manually, I can change the value. I know that it's starting for 5 into 2020, and in 2019, it's stopping at 11 for the first class. Okay, so I'm changing this. And I'm doing the same for the other places, as you see, 19. In our use case, it's only for a better understanding of the evolution of our data. So after, it's up to you on what you want to do. Okay, this way we could see some evolution. Okay, it's not really important. Okay, sorry, I made a big mistake, I think. Yes, because I need to update this to the most. I think it's 52. Okay, so we can see some evolution, and that our rate is increasing in 2020. Anyway, knowing that, we know that using the plugin QGIS2web, we would need to add tile layers ourselves in QGIS project. We may think that this plugin is automatically including tile layers, but it's not the case. So we'll need to use another plugin to insert these tile layers, for example, OSM tile layers, inside QGIS. So we can do it now with going on plugin, because we need to install this plugin. If not done yet, you can go in not installed and search. So today we'll use Quick Map Services. Quick Map Services is not the only plugin that allows to load any tile layers. I know that there is also Open Layers plugin, but we'll be using this one. So we are waiting. It's really quick. And as you can see, it's a really used plugin with almost 2 billion downloads. So really used by the community. And then you can see a few more buttons here, or you can go into the web and Quick Map Services. And this way you will have access to some raster or tile layers, and we'll use the OSM tile layers. Okay, so this is better because this way, or in the web map you will do, you will have some, of course, localization of where you are. So as you can see, we are in Burundi, and you can see in which region we are. Okay, now another thing that maybe we want to show in our web map could be the labels. One thing to know with QGIS2web is that displaying labels could slow your web map. So you really need to be careful about this. We can make a quick test just after. But for example, in this case, we have a lot of administrative areas, and displaying labels could be at the same time not so good for the data visualization, and in the meantime could slow our web map. And the web map which is not responsive is not really what we want. So you need to know that facing your project in QGIS. Now that I've made in the project, if you're on QGIS on your side, I've made some styling file. So if you don't want to do everything I did, you could load directly your style. So I don't know if you've already done it, but it's really easy. You need to check on all the things you want to add from the layer, the style layer. And in your data web map, you will find a QML, which is a file style for QGIS. So anyway, this is basically what I did before. This is just to show you that it could be easier, and also that it could be interesting in your style to allow some not to put opacity at 100%, because sometimes you can use, let's say, data in your tile layers on the back. Like here, even if it's not so visual, you can still follow some roads or to see some places and so on. So this is just for you to know. And one thing we need to check before our exports is the naming of every layer. So here it's already named, but let's say I want to really make people understand what is this data. I could change the name and let's say, I don't know, water access 20, and let's have the same for 2019. Because everything that's not done here won't be, you won't be able to do it in the plugin parameter. So you need to have everything ready to export your map, and that people can understand your data directly. So now let's go directly into the plugin. So as I did for the plugin Quick Map services, I'm going here in plugin, manage and install. And this way, I'm going to search QGIS2web. Okay, this one. And I will install it. So it's pretty quick. Okay. Now that I've installed it, one new icon is here. So this is the only icon from this plugin. It's to export your web map. You can also find it the same on the web, QGIS2web, create web map. Okay, let's open it. So it's opening a window with some properties, and we can see on the back, on the bottom, sorry, we have three JavaScript libraries for web mapping, which are OpenLayers, Leaflet, and Mapbox. We would recommend to use Leaflet. And I know on my side that Mapbox is getting some lag when you try to have some updates on the plugin. So I don't know if it's coming from me, but I would recommend to use Leaflet library. And okay, as you can see, we are directly have a web map with all the layers that were on our project, but specifically the layers that are enabled on the property side. So what can we find in here? Every layer that we have on our project will be listed in here. And we have a basic checkbox to enable or not this layer. So if I update this after checking health area, you can see that health area is here. Okay. And what's inside of each layer is it visible on the web map? Can image pop up? Which means if I click on any features inside this layer, will I have some information about this feature? And do I need to cluster data? Then you will have information, properties concerning pop-up. Basically, each pop-up are activated. So it means that if I click on anything, you will have all the information about it. But as you can see here, I don't have any title of, let's say, column of field. So I will not understand what I'm talking about. What are these 23 or 7 referring to? I don't know. So to check this, I'm going into the water access for 2020, and I can say, okay, I want some inline label for this, which means basically that I will have some my field name into the. So this is really basic. And this way, okay, we'll have this. So that's also why I explained that we really need to have our project settled. Is that, for example, this field name are not really relevant for, let's say, a big audience. And I would like to have some precision about it. So that's when you need to update the name of the field and so on. So this is basically why we need to have everything prepared before having our exports. So these are the basic properties. So as you can see, it's really easy. I can check, of course, 2019 that were not checked before. And this way, if I update, we'll have, okay, data for the 2 years. Okay. As you can see, it's also managing labels and some display depending on the scale you are. So it's also something that you can set on QGIS directly, and that can ease the understanding and the visualization of your web map. As you can see on the Health Center, we've put some visualization depending on the scale. So it's really better. Now, concerning extra properties, you can have, this maybe, I don't think I can, okay. We can have more properties for the users, such as geolocalization. We can highlight data on over, and we can have CRS properties depending on our QGIS project. So we'll not touch too much at this, but we could also reduce the extent of our web map and change the level of zoom, minimum or maximum. Okay. And know that your project is ready. You need to know that you only need to set a folder where to export it. So actually, I will not do it now because Miguel will start from the project later. But the application, the plugin is compiling all the files that we need for our map into our folder. So I think that one last thing I will need to maybe go into QGIS to show you. If you don't know, it's concerning the level of zoom for the labels. If you go into properties, you can set this easily when you're managing your label, for example. If you go into, okay, I'm already in it. If you go into rendering, you see that you can set a minimum and a maximum scale. So this is what's used for our export on the web map here. Okay. I see that I was a bit quick on everything. So I don't know if for now you have any question concerning this, or maybe some setting that you want me to show again, or any remarks. I don't know. You can raise your hand or type in the chat. I don't know. Okay, so it seems that that was clear. There are no questions. I'm right, Miguel?
Yeah, there's a question.
Okay.
What did you do in the appearance section?
Okay, so concerning labels, I think this was the question. So concerning labels in QGIS, you can have access by two ways. First way, if you have this toolbar, would be to click on this icon, would be the layer labeling option. And this will open this window, the label styling. And in it, you will have to search. Okay, you will have to search for the last option, which is this one, concerning rendering. Within the plugin, okay, sorry. So I'm opening again the plugin. And so you mean this part? Okay, appearance section, yes. Here I did not change anything because in our project it's not relevant, but you can have some extra properties on your preview, for example. Okay, such as zoom extent here. Let's say, okay, I don't know actually in which zoom I am, but it could just set the setting minimum or maximum zoom, and we could restrict the extent of our map. And this way, it will block our web map on our layer. But actually, as you can see, there are some limitation of this, and sometimes there are little bug. As you can see, it's shaking a little, and some data are not displayed. So I think this is some part of the plugin that is not the best to use, and that's why we are not changing much on this from the plugin. Okay, I see another question. Is there a way to have custom labels in the pop-ups, meaning not just labels that are column headers, but something more human-friendly? In this part, it's a bit the same in the part that we cannot have customization of pop-ups in here. We can or cannot display the field in our project, but we can't add other field. So this is a big limitation, of course. And we are dependent of the implementation or customization after the export. This will be shown with Miguel, but if you want to go further into this customization, of course, you will need some web development background. So it's kind of the limitation of this plugin, but it can still make some nice, let's say, web map that we can integrate easily. Okay, is it okay for you, Camille? Because I see yes, no. It's okay. I think it's nice. I don't know if you're playing on your side on the QGIS project or not. Yes. No. Camille? Okay.
Yeah, sorry, for me it's fine. Thank you.
Okay, nice.
If you have questions, you can either speak or write in the chat, yes, as you prefer. Thank you.
Yes. So as we are a few than the other session, it's also good to speak with you directly. And yes, as Quentin mentioned, it's really an easy plugin. No much thing to understand. What could be more tricky or more interesting is what you will do with your exports after. And this is the part that we'll see with Miguel. So I think if there is no further question, concerning the QGIS part, we maybe can take 5 to 10 minutes and then go back on the web map use with Miguel. I see one remark.
There is a question, I think, Gilles. It's from Robert. Yes. So I have created web maps using LizMap. If you know LizMap, can you give your ideas about flexibility comparison between the two tools?
Okay, actually, I don't know LizMap. I've heard of it, but never used it. I don't know if it's same for you, Miguel. So I don't have any feedback on this tool.
Yes, the same for me. I know about it, but I haven't used it, so I can't really say too much to compare them.
But if you want to add something about LizMap, Robert, feel free to open your mic and to exchange with everyone.
Yes and no. I have used LizMap, but the question is I have not used this yet. Can you hear me? Yes. I have not used this, so I have nothing else to add. I would just hope that it might be an opportunity to have the ability to make to hear a comparison between the two tools. LizMap is more complicated to set up. That's absolutely clear. LizMap, the plugin and the configuration necessary on the server is much more complicated, and for that reason, I was wondering if it was worth the trouble. If this plugin is flexible enough to do things. That's all. But I have no answer.
Okay, thank you, Robert. For those who didn't understand, maybe because of the mic, so Robert said that he has not used LizMap, but he knows that it's a tool that is maybe more difficult to use with more settings. So yeah, I think that what's interesting here is for any GIS background or people with any GIS background, it's interesting to use QGIS2web because you don't have much more to do than exporting your static map. So it's really nice thing to use, but what could be hard is to implement it on your website. Maybe this part will not used up. So that's why we'll see it after the short break with Miguel. So I don't see any more questions. So we can say that we are coming back at let's say 55, or let's say at 5 o'clock, Miguel.
Yeah, let's say in 5 minutes, more or less.
Okay.
And 55.
Okay, so we'll see you in 5 minutes sharp, and we are staying here if you have any questions.
So just a couple of comments on Olivier. Yeah, I think so. Olivier says that the main difference could be that the LizMap is a web tool to host directly the map on a server. I think it's QGIS2web could be more a tool to deploy to get quickly a web map, but LizMap could be more oriented to have real or not real application itself with more advanced options on that side. So that's why also the more complex settings. And comment on by Lucas that just found that if you define the field alias, the label in the web map pop-up will use the alias instead of the field name. So yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Yes, good remark. So we are staying in the layer property, but in fact, yes, we could use this alias to have like a good shape name for our legend in the web map. That's a good point. Okay, so let's go back in 5 minutes and see you then.
Okay.
Okay, see you all in 5.
See you now.
Okay, well, welcome back. We restart the session. Just we have seen some exchange about between Marie, Ant, and Lucas on the label. So if you maybe something is not clear, would you like to share it live?
Yeah, maybe I can show my screen again quickly to see the alias we were talking about. Just for you to know, for example, in any layer on the properties, okay, it's opening. I can go into the panel attributes form, and for any field, I can change, let's say, I'm not changing the name of my field, but I'm attributing an alias, you know it, which is linked to this name, and this way, for example, QGIS2web will be using it. So, for example, I was explaining that SS_call is meaning sucolin this way. So, by adding an alias to it, I can then, on my plugin parameters, okay. So, sucolin is in an inline label. So let's have a preview. And if I click on any sucolin, I now have sucolin as the name of the field because it's showing the alias. So this is a good way to shape your data for the web map. So this is a good point from Lucas. Thank you, Lucas. So I let you go on, Miguel.
Yes. So at this point, what we would do is to export the web map, just using the button that we have from the plugin. Let me share my screen first. Okay. So yeah, we were here. We just export the project with the button, and what we will get is a folder like this one. Here, this is directly a web map that we could see in the browser. So, for example, if we click on the HTML, we'll have the same view that we had. Sorry. That we had at the preview in the plugin. So how we can implement this in our website, or how we can share this with our colleagues or with people, we have several options. One of them is just to load it to a website, to the web server that of our organization, and yeah, get the URL. Another way is to find other hosting solutions. Like there are plenty of them. To say a couple of them, we have GitHub, Pages, GitLab, and many other. With these options, what we will get is a URL that we will be able to share. as we do with any Google document or whatever, or we could also embed the web map in our website via CMS or adding it as an iframe in an existing page that we could already have, or in a separate page. So we will start with on this side. We'll follow the lines so that we are able to share this web application with the minimum coding from our side. Of course, the more coding or more HTML, CSS, and JavaScript we know. For those that are not too familiar with them, HTML is the language for the website, sorry, for the layout and the elements that we display on the application. The CSS will be what will be defining the style of the web page, and JavaScript will be the logic that is behind that will create the map, and could be maybe the most advanced between them in case we want to customize our web map. So in this workshop we won't have a look to it. We could discuss if you want later to have left some minutes for questions and answers at the end of the workshop. So even if we are not showing now JavaScript side, we can discuss a bit later. So just to go ahead with this, first we see that we have the option that is it's optional to edit the result that we got from the plugin, or we can just directly use the folder as it came from the plugin. So let's do a little bit of editing. For this, we will be working with text editors. We can use Notepad++, for example. It's the most simple one for for doing not the too advanced things. I will be using Visual Studio Code, which is another one, which will help us to differentiate a bit the words, what is each thing. But you don't. If you are not familiar with it, you don't need to download it with a normal simple text editor. It would be fine. Okay, so before going with the edition, we will see the contents of the folder. First, we have a CSS folder that is, as I mentioned, is it will be defining the style of the web page. Here we have some files that are the style files from some libraries that the plugin uses to build different features. So we don't really need to look at them. However, here we have a QGIS2web CSS that is the file that is built by the authors of the plugin for the specific styling of the web map. Then we have data folder that is they are in this case they are stored as JavaScript files, but at the end what they are is GeoJSON files. What I will do is to open them. Yeah, so you can see exactly what is inside. So for example, on this one, this is the commune layer. And even if it's defined as a JavaScript object, what we have inside is it's a JSON format layer. So it's the same for all of them. In the next folder, we have images in case we need them. In this case, it's empty. Then we have JavaScript files. Here, I'm going to open the chat just in case there is. That's it. Yeah. So here again, most of these files are the libraries that the plugin uses in order to build the features. For example, for the labels, for the clusters that we could, in case you want to cluster points, the plugin uses specific library, JavaScript library for that. And also what we have is the QGIS2web expressions JavaScript file. And here they are the functions that are built specifically for the plugin. We don't need to look at them now. So in case you want to do more advanced options, actually, you could dig on it, but yeah, at this moment we don't need it. And then we have all the other folders for the legend. And it stores the images for the legends. Markers in case we had, fonts, and finally the HTML page, which is the main thing that we will be using in case we want to edit our project. Okay. So yeah, here let's start. Please stop me or add any comment in the chat if there is any question, if I'm going too quickly or it's not clear enough. We'll be doing very few modifications in the HTML. So let's see if I can make the text bigger just in case. Can you see it properly? Is it big enough? Okay. So, well, in any case, it's not just let me know. Okay. Okay, good. Is it better now?
Yeah, I think it's better. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So let's let's see the HTML, how it is structured, so that we know what we will be editing. Well, for those that you are not familiar with it, an HTML is always divided in two main sections, which are the head and the body. In the head, we have some metadata, let's say, and after the metadata, we have the link to the CSS, to the style files. So in this case, we have the leaflet style sheet. We have the one for the plugin itself, and then yeah, we have a call for the fonts and other plugins that the plugin uses. And then here we have a little section which is a CSS as well, specific for the web map. This is something that we will be editing in a few minutes, but before that, we will see a bit more of the structure of the HTML. Okay, so after the head, we have the body, and here is where we will be adding all the elements of the application, and afterwards all the JavaScript pieces, files or pieces of code that we will need. In this case, we have a number of JavaScript libraries that we are using, that the plugin uses. We won't need to use them. All these libraries are available in the web. So, but yeah, we don't need to touch them now. After that, we see the files for the data. So just to make it more clear, we'll add a comment, script libraries, and here have the layers. And after all this is initialized, what the plugin does is to embed all the JavaScript code, which will be built based on the parameters that we have selected in the plugin. We'll add everything here in the HTML. We could have had a separate JavaScript file as we have here, but well, in this case, the plugin exports the JavaScript code in this way. So I guess that it's to keep it simple in a single file. So let's see what we have inside. At the beginning, we have the definition of the map. In this case, we are using leaflet library, so it uses the leaflet definition syntax. And at the same time, it fits the bounds to the boundaries that we had defined in the plugin. Latitude and longitude, it sets the two corners. If you want to read a bit more documentation on these functions, I will leave the link to the leaflet documentation because it's quite useful, and it has some examples that that could be useful. Okay, so the website is leafletjs.com, and here you have the docs. Okay. So in case we have any question and we don't know if for example, the latitude and longitude are expressed first with latitude or first with longitude, in order to solve all these questions, we can go to the documentation of leaflet. But as said, at this moment we are not going into the JavaScript code. I'm just explaining more or less what is inside. Well, and then it starts defining several options that we had enabled. The hash is that tool that whenever you move the map, the URL changes with the coordinates of the center of the map, so that you could share with your colleagues the specific location. Then we have the attribution, the measure tool, and then it starts defining all the layers with the pop-up content. So this is a long file. We could spend a lot of time trying to read everything, but well, this is just an idea of how it is built. I don't know if there's any question. So yeah, it also defines the interaction that we could have with the layers. If we click, or if we need to highlight the when we hover on the map, any interaction like this is defined in this piece of code. So now going back to the top, we will start adding few little things in order to customize our application. So we saw that if we open the index file, we have the map itself. But for example, we want to add a header to add the logo of our organization or some disclaimer at the bottom. So let's start with that. So what I will do is to put this on one side, this on the other side, so that we see the changes. Okay, so the first thing that I will do is to remove the map from here, because I want it to have its own style. And what I will do here is to create a header. And inside the header, we can add a title. Here we are using HTML tags. I don't know if you are familiar with it or not. But well, in this case, it's just a div element and then an h1 header 1 that will display the text in the application. Have it here. And we will also add a footer. We will add the styles after we create the elements. So for this, we'll create another div element. like this, and here we will add a little disclaimer paragraph. Okay. So yeah, have the little text here. So now we want to make it a bit more nicer, and for that, what we can do is to create the style for the header. For this, as we created the header element with class header, we need to use this syntax dot in order to select the header class. And here we will set some parameters. For example, I want to set its height to 70 pixels. I want as well to apply some padding. The padding is the space that we leave around the element. In this case, I want to leave some space on the left. So that is not next to the border. What else we can do? We can also add change the font of the map. So for this, we will need to use the font family attribute. And here, well, in this case, this tool lets me, gives me some options. This is up to depends on the branding of the organization, or there is any official font. I will take this one in this case. So we see that it applies the change. Now, what I want to do is that the footer is visible at without scrolling the bar. So for this, what I will need to do is to adapt the height of the map. So in this case, we have initially we had a height of the 100% of the screen of the window. What we will do here is a calculation of the 100% minus, and here we'll need to put the height of the header and the footer. At this moment, we haven't set the height of the footer yet, so let's keep for the moment the header. And now we will add the footer height. That will be, for example, 50%. Sorry, I'm not following the chat, so don't hesitate to interrupt me.
No, it's okay. You can go on.
Okay. Okay, so now that I added the height here, we will just okay, and here we still see that there is some scroll. This is because the elements, the HTML elements that we used, have some padding or margin or padding already applied in the style. So in order to avoid that, I will remove that. So on the header, I will need to remove that. A tool that is very useful for this is to go to the inspector of your browser. You can just right click and say inspect, and here we'll have the window to see the HTML, the CSS of each element. Here on the left side we have the HTML, and if we click on any of the elements, on the right side we will see the CSS related to it. And this is what we had been editing before. So on this case, we see that the header has some already some style applied that is annoying a little bit our style. So yeah, we would need to overwrite all those properties. At the end of the workshop, I will share a final a final version of more edits that I'm doing now, because we won't have time to show everything. So what I will do is to continue adding an image, for example, to add our logo.
Miguel, just to let you know that we have just over 10 minutes left.
Yep. Yes, I'm moving to.
Thank you.
So here I had prepared a logo that we could use. I will paste it in the images folder. And here in the HTML, what we can do is here in the header or in the footer, we can add the image. We specify the source, which in this case will be images / logo. We will need to specify as well the height of or the width, in case the image is not optimized for that. And then we put 30 pixels. And now, for example, we want to have it on the right. Sorry. So for that, we will do a selector for the footer, and in this case, we will use float attribute. And right there. Okay. To make a nice style, we would need more time. So as I said, I will share later another document that I have prepared. So actually, I can show it now. So at the end, we could end up having something like this with the header, with the logo, the footer, with some color. Also, we could change some of the style of the legend. For example, in this case, we had these boxes at the same indentation of checkboxes. In this case, I wanted to make it easier to understand that they are part of the layer. And well, so now once all the edits have been done, we get we have this modified folder. And now, how we can share this in a web server? As mentioned before, there are plenty of options. If we don't have our own web server, we could go to platforms like GitHub, for example. In this case, we will show quickly on GitHub. GitHub, for those that are not familiar with it, is a platform when you can host Git projects to collaborate with other people, to normally to share your own code. In this case, we'll create a new project, a new repository. We'll assign a project name, in this case, QGIS 2020 workshop, QGIS2web. Okay, we should add a description. Now, for this case, you will need to set it as public, unless you have because otherwise you won't be able to share your application, unless you have a paid account where you could have your code privately and share publicly the application. In this case, we will make it public. And then, we don't check any of these options because we don't want to initialize the repository, because we have the files in our space. So create repository. And now it will say that we don't have anything yet. So at this point, what we can do is to upload existing files. So we click here, and we'll just drag and drop the content of the folder that we have been editing. So we select all, and we move everything. Okay, it will take some time. In the meantime, what I will do is to mention that, okay, in this case, we have been editing directly the files coming from the plugin, but at some point we could also use a template. So that could be already prepared by our organization, so that all our applications have the same style. So let's see this. And here we could have a space in the template to add our web map as an iframe. In this case, the purple area. So this is an option. And to do this, we just need to copy the web map that came from from the plugin. Paste it in the folder of your application. Now it's not template anymore. It will be our web map. And here in the index file of the template, so you see this is maybe a more complex HTML, but in your template you will have some place to add your iframe. So in this case we will need only to uncomment it and add the
Miguel, we have like 3 minutes left. So,
okay,
yeah.
good.
So I don't know if we want also some space for questions, or if you want to wrap up.
So maybe just to finish with the settings, with the GitHub. So we already loaded the repository. So we go to the settings page, and here we can go to, we find the section for the GitHub pages. We select the source, in this case. Okay. Okay, is there any question?
Actually, no. You can continue.
Okay, I don't know why I stopped. I didn't commit. Okay, so now we go to the bottom, and this is what I had missed before. Yeah, we need to commit the changes to validate them.
Maybe while it's happening, some last word from my side. So as you can see, this plugin allows to easily export to a map from QGIS, but it's also a good way to introduce yourself to sub-web development, as Miguel showed, some basic HTML content or CSS, and to improve yourself into this web development, because it's more and more present today in the GIS world. So we may not have all this background and this training, but it's a good way to work on it. And I note the remarks of Ant and Scott. And yes, this is a really plugin that is a voluntary effort from Tom. So of course, if any of you have any competence in it, we can all contribute to its improvement. Miguel, I don't know if you have some final thing to show or to add, because it's already the end of the workshop.
No, just to finish with this. So we went in GitHub pages, we select the branch as we just loaded it. We select the only one that we have, we click save. And if you go back down, it will say that your site is ready to be published. So sometimes it takes a little bit of time to be ready, but if we click here, okay, it was quick. We can have our application with in our GitHub account, and this one, as mentioned at the beginning, we could share it with anyone or embed it in our website using our CMS. So yes. Yeah, good point by Jan. It's so yeah, this QGIS plugins are yeah, open source, and they are normally done by volunteers, and they are great tools to optimize the use of QGIS.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so we hope that it was a good introduction to this plugin and the possibility that it can offer online with the integration and some customization. And we stay all available, Miguel and I. If you have any question in private chat of the Eventia platform, really do not hesitate to reach for us. And have an happy end of the day.
Yeah, and just to so we will leave live the resource page folder that we shared at the beginning. Maybe we can share it now again, and we will be loading the resources that we have been using. Also, a little presentation that, in order to try on your site and test and play, and yeah, and whenever you have any questions, we are here to help.
Thank you so much, Miguel and Gilles, and thank you everyone for taking part to this workshop. We are happy you enjoyed it. See you soon either in the chat or in other workshops. Okay.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
See you around. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.